As the heir to Apex Trust, the most powerful private financial institution in the country, I was following my grandfather's wishes. Keep my identity a secret and fulfill an old family marriage pact. My fiancée's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, its cash flow completely dried up. As the entire company spiraled into despair, I walked up to her and presented a handwritten IOU. $100 million. Is that enough? If not, I can add more. Her CFO, her right-hand man, snatched the note from my hand. He looked at it, then threw his head back and roared with laughter in front of everyone. He contemptuously ripped the note into confetti and threw it in my face. $100 million. Have you lost your damn mind? You're a broke assistant who gets coffee. Who do you think you are? Some kind of savior. I stared at him, my face a blank mask. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed the head of my family's private office. Arthur, make the call. I want every bank in New York to immediately suspend all lines of credit to Harrison Holdings. And I mean every single one. It's over, we're finished. A piercing cry cut through the oppressive gloom that had settled over Harrison Holdings. A junior analyst was staring at her monitor, watching the stock price plummet in real time. She had completely broken down. Oh my God, it's already dropped below the IPO price. The PR department's phones are ringing off the hook. The media is asking if we're filing for Chapter 11. Accounting just called up. A few of our biggest suppliers are storming the lobby. They said if we don't pay up now, they're taking us to court. The entire open plan office was a chaotic mess. Ignoring it all, I walked through the chaos, holding a single slip of paper, and pushed open the door to the CEO's office. Get out. Can't you see the boss is busy? The moment I stepped inside, a sharp, impatient voice barked at me. I looked up. It was the company's CFO, Mark Jennings. My fiancée, Ava Harrison, looked up too. Her face was etched with exhaustion, her expression a mix of confusion and annoyance at being interrupted. I ignored Mark and walked directly to Ava's desk. I placed the slip of paper in front of her. $100 million. Is it enough? If not, I can add more. For a moment, the office was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Ava was stunned. Her gaze shifted from my face down to the note. It was written in my own hand. Harrison Holdings may temporarily draw $100 million, $100 million, from Apex Trust to resolve the present crisis. Term of 3 months, renewable. Below that were 2 words, Silas Vance. My name. It was a simple, almost absurdly plain IOU with no official letterhead or seal. Silas. What? What are you doing? She asked, speechless. She probably thought I was mocking her, playing some kind of twisted, cruel joke. Ha 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 ha. Mark, standing off to the side, exploded with laughter as if he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. He clutched his stomach, doubled over, tears welling in his eyes. He snatched the note from the desk, held it up, and read it out loud in a ridiculously exaggerated voice. Harrison Holdings may temporarily draw $100 million from Apex Trust. Oh man, you're killing me. Apex Trust? What's that, some new loan shark operation that just opened up downtown? Pretty big name for a nobody. He flicked the IOU as he sauntered over to me. He used his other hand to pat my cheek, his eyes filled with undisguised contempt. Silas, my man, are you that desperate for cash? Or have you been reading too many fairy tales? $100 million. Do you have any concept of how much money that is? If we sold you for parts, you wouldn't even cover the interest on that for a day. The employees outside, drawn by the commotion, had started crowding around the glass walls of the office, peering in. When they figured out what was happening, a wave of ridicule rippled through the crowd. You have got to be kidding me. Silas, the assistant from the admin department, is offering to loan the company $100 million. Has he completely lost it? $100 million. His salary is what? $3,000 a month. The stress must have finally gotten to him. Poor guy's at a psychotic break. Apex Trust. Sounds like a corner bodega. I ignored the whispers from outside and kept my expression neutral, my eyes fixed on Mark. You should probably give me that note back. Oh, what's this? Is this your treasure? Mark's laughter grew even more unrestrained. He crumpled the note into a tight ball, then smoothed it out, then started tossing it playfully from hand to hand, all while taunting me. Or is this just a fantasy you wrote down for yourself this morning? Ha ha. Then he turned to Ava, spreading his hands in a gesture of profound disappointment. Ava, look at this. Just look, this is your so-called fiancé. While we are fighting for the very survival of this company, he's not thinking of how to help. He's pulling a stunt for attention. He doesn't care about the company at all. He's humiliating us. He's humiliating you. He's humiliating all of Harrison Holdings. His speech was righteous and convincing. The crowd of employees was instantly swayed, and their gazes turned hostile. It was as if I was now the enemy of the entire company. That is so out of line. The company is in this state, and he's making jokes. Seriously, he's just rubbing salt in Ava's wound. How could someone like him be her fiancé? Throw him out. We don't need a traitor like him at Harrison. Mark seemed pleased with the effect, a smug, triumphant look spreading across his face. He leaned in close to my ear and whispered viciously, "Kid, don't think I don't know what you're up to. You think because of some old family agreement, you have a claim on Ava? You're a frog trying to kiss a princess. Have you looked in a mirror? Do you really think you're worthy? Get smart. Walk away yourself before you're thrown out. Are you done?" Mark froze, clearly not expecting such a calm response. I turned my gaze to Ava, who hadn't spoken another word. I wanted to see where she stood. If she had just said, "I believe you," I would have let all of this slide for her sake as my fiancé in name. The 100 million would have been in her account instantly. Ava finally spoke. "Silas, are you done with this charade? I am exhausted. You know exactly what this company is going through, don't you? I don't have the time or the energy to play these childish games with you." Childish games. What else would you call it? Her composure finally shattered. Her face flushed with an anger she could no longer contain. $100 million. You want me to believe this scrap of paper? To believe that you, an administrative assistant who has to budget for rent, can magically produce $100 million to save my company? She was practically screaming now, her words dripping with contempt. "Silas, for God's sake, get a grip on reality. I admit I've been cold to you, but that's because we are from two different worlds. It was never going to work. My daily life involves dealing with cutthroat venture capitalists and staring bankruptcy in the face. And you, what do you spend your day thinking about? Which coffee blend to order for the break room? Or how to fix the paper jam in the copier? And now you show up with this pathetic piece of paper. What are you trying to prove? Are you trying to tell me that even though you have nothing, you have a heart full of love for me? Or are you trying to act out some ridiculous fantasy where the poor boy saves the fallen princess, hoping it will win me over?" As she spoke, she started to laugh, a bitter, broken sound. "Don't you see how pathetic that is? Don't you see how pathetic you are? My biggest mistake was being weak enough to agree to my grandfather's ridiculous demand and let you stay at the company. I thought you would at least have the self-awareness to keep your head down and stay in your lane. But I never, ever imagined that when I needed help the most, you would choose this moment, this method, to utterly humiliate me. You." She raised a hand that was trembling with rage and pointed it at me. "You make me sick." Her tirade was finally over. So that's what she thought of me. My offer to help was a humiliation. My very existence as her fiancé was sickening. The office was silent. Everyone was stunned by the explosive drama. A triumphant smile bloomed on Mark's face. His eyes, as he looked at me, were filled with a victor's pity. This was clearly the outcome he had hoped for. He walked over to Ava and put a supportive hand on her trembling shoulders. "Ava, don't be angry. He's not worth it. He's just a lunatic, a pathetic clown dreaming of marrying into money." With that, he held up the IOU for all the onlookers to see and announced in a loud voice. Everyone saw it. This shameless psycho, using these low-life tactics to torment Ava when our company is on the brink of collapse. Then came the sound of tearing paper. Ryup. That note was torn, slowly and deliberately, into tiny pieces. He raised his hand and let the white scraps of paper rain down on my face. A broke nobody trying to play savior? Mark pointed a finger at my nose, spitting out each word with relish, his face a mask of pure satisfaction. As the paper fluttered around me, I slowly lifted my head. Fine. This was their choice. In front of everyone, I took out my phone. It was a 3-year-old, beat-up Android, the screen spiderwebbed with cracks. The disdain in Mark's eyes deepened. Ignoring the confused stares around me, I dialed the only number saved in my contacts. He answered on the first ring. "Young master." "Arthur, make the call." I want every bank in New York to immediately suspend all lines of credit to Harrison Holdings. And I want their outstanding debts called in. And I mean every single one. I'm giving you 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I want to hear back from you. After hanging up, I slipped the phone back into my pocket. A stunned silence fell over the CEO's office and the onlookers outside. Everyone was staring at me like I was some kind of bizarre idiot. A few seconds later, Mark broke the silence with a loud, theatrical snort. "Oh, for the love of God, are you addicted to this little act of yours?" He pressed a hand to his forehead, shaking his head as he laughed. "Notify every bank? Call in their loans? Silas, who do you think you are? The Treasury Secretary? God himself." He pointed at my nose, laughing so hard that tears streamed down his face. "Do you have any idea how many banks there are in this city? Do you know the kind of people who run the banks that do business with Harrison Holdings? You're talking big with nothing to back it up. You think one phone call from you is going to make all those powerful people jump? What? Is your phone a direct line to the White House?" The employees outside joined in, laughing loudly. The tense, desperate atmosphere from before had miraculously lifted, replaced by a sense of gleeful mockery. This guy is certifiably insane. He needs help. I don't think he's been reading fairy tales. I think he's been reading myths. 30 minutes? He sounds like a pizza delivery guy. Your order will arrive in 30 minutes or less. Ava has the worst luck in the world, getting stuck with a fiancé like him. Ava wasn't laughing. She seemed to have reached a level of disappointment so profound it had become numbness. She couldn't even muster the energy to be angry with me anymore. She just waved a dismissive hand, as if shooing away a fly. "Mark, call security. Get him out of here. I don't want to see him again." "You got it," Mark replied cheerfully, eagerly pulling out his phone to make the call. "That won't be necessary. I'm not leaving. Not for the next 30 minutes, at least." I pulled over a nearby chair and, under the derisive glares of everyone present, sat down right in the middle of the CEO's office. I crossed one leg over the other and glanced at the cheap digital watch on my wrist. It couldn't have cost more than $20. 29 minutes left. "Fine, fine, fine." Mark repeated the word 3 times, a laugh of pure fury escaping his lips. "I'll wait 30 minutes. I can't wait to see what kind of magic trick you pull out of your hat then. And when nothing happens, don't blame me when I have you thrown out of this building on your ass." Ava didn't bother wasting another word on me. She and Mark turned their backs and went back to discussing how to beg the major banks for help. I overheard Mark saying, "Ava, don't panic. I've already reached out to the VPs at Chase and Citibank. Given our long-standing relationship, they should agree to an extension on our loans. If we can just make it through this week and get the first payment from the Hudson Yards project, we'll survive." Ava clung to his words like a drowning woman to a life raft. Her voice trembled. "Mark, really? You think it will work?" "Trust me," Mark said, patting her shoulder reassuringly. "As long as I'm here, Harrison Holdings will not fall." "Will it work?" "Of course not." I smiled to myself. Time ticked by, second by agonizing second. The atmosphere in the office grew heavy once more, but this time everyone's attention was, consciously or not, drifting toward me. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. Mark's smirk grew wider, his contempt for me more obvious. 20 minutes passed. Still nothing. The employees outside began to whisper among themselves, their snickering growing louder. "See, I told you he was faking." 10 minutes left. Let's see how he gets himself out of this one. 25 minutes. Mark finally lost his patience. He strode over to me and kicked my chair. "Hey, psycho, your 30 minutes are almost up. You're going to keep this act going until the very end. Where's the big finale?" I ignored him, simply glancing up at the clock on the wall. 1 minute left. Mark's expression was a mask of extreme impatience. It was clear he was already planning how he would personally throw me out the door the second the time was up. Ava, too, finally turned around and gave me one last emotionless look. And right at that moment, brawling, a shrill, urgent ringtone shattered the silence. It was Ava's personal cell phone. She instinctively picked it up, and the next second, she shot up from her chair as if she'd been electrocuted. All the color drained from her face. With a trembling hand, she swiped to answer. Before she could even get the word hello out, an enraged voice roared through the speaker. "Ava Harrison, I don't care what you have to do. You have 1 hour to pay back the $120 million short-term loan your company owes my bank. Principal and interest down to the last cent. If you don't, I'm filing a court order to freeze all your assets immediately. Click. The line went dead. Ava stood frozen, clutching her phone. Mark was stunned. He had heard the shouting on the other end. Ava, what's wrong? Was that Mr. Peterson? He didn't get to finish his sentence. His own phone began to ring violently. Mark's face changed. He quickly answered, pasting a sycophantic smile on his face. Mr. Davis, hello. I was just calling about the loan extension. Extension? I'll give you an extension, the voice on the other end screamed, so loud everyone could hear. Jennings, you son of a bitch. Who the hell did you people piss off? You almost got me fired. Pay the money back. Now. Or I'll see you in court. Click. Mark's call was also disconnected. I thought. Mr. Davis seems like a character. And then it began. One by one, the cell phones of every executive in the office started ringing, a chaotic chorus of incoming calls. The message of every call was shockingly consistent. Pay up. Immediately. Right now. No extensions, no negotiations. The same employees who had been mocking me moments before now watched in horror. No one could understand what was happening. Mark's face had gone from pale to ashen gray. He stumbled backward, his eyes wide with terror as he stared at me. Ava's body was shaking uncontrollably. Her disbelieving gaze also fell upon me. I slowly stood up, brushing the last scrap of paper from my shoulder. I glanced at the clock on the wall. Not a second more, not a second less. Exactly 30 minutes. And now, I said calmly, the game begins. Those 4 words, the game begins, were spoken softly. But for the senior leadership of Harrison Holdings, they signaled the beginning of a terrifying vortex of panic. What's happening? Ava, what in God's name is going on? One of the executives yelled, clutching his hair as he stared at his phone. The person on the other end had clearly hung up. He looked at Ava with desperation, as if she were his only hope. Me too. I just got an email from Bank of America with a formal demand letter. They're requiring full settlement of all outstanding balances within 24 hours. It's the same for me. The manager at Wells Fargo, the guy who was buying me drinks last week, just talked to me like he'd never met me before. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Mark muttered, completely dazed. He snapped his head up, his bloodshot eyes locking onto me. He pointed a trembling finger in my direction. It was you. This is your doing, isn't it? You lunatic. Tell me, who the hell are you? I couldn't be bothered to respond to his hysterics, merely offering him a scornful look. My silence seemed to give him one last sliver of hope to deny reality. Right, it must be a mistake. There has to be some kind of misunderstanding. He clung to that thought like a lifeline, frantically scrolling through his contacts. I'm going to call Mr. Harrison, Walter Harrison, the chairman of the New York Bankers Association. He would never do this to me. He found the number, his fingers shaking as he pressed the call button. He deliberately put it on speakerphone, as if to prove to everyone that his connections were still solid. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. Walter, it's Mark Jennings, he shouted desperately, his voice pleading. There's a huge problem. Every bank is calling our debts at once. Do you know what's going on? Can you please ask around, see if there was some kind of... Mark Jennings. A hoarse, terrified voice cut him off. You have the gall to call me. Let me tell you something. Half an hour ago, I got a phone call. A call from someone I can't afford to cross in a million lifetimes. The expression on Mark's face froze solid. He only said one thing. Harrison Holdings is finished. Jennings, you tell me, what colossal mess have you people made? Who'd you piss off? I'm telling you now, nobody can save you. Anyone who tries to help you becomes an enemy of that man. Don't you ever contact me again. Click. The call ended. Mark's phone slipped from his grasp, hitting the floor with a crack as the screen shattered. He looked as if his entire skeleton had been removed, slumping against the desk with a vacant, deathly stare. It's over, he whispered. It's all over. I turned my gaze to Ava. She was standing perfectly still, like a statue. Apex Trust, she whispered, her lips barely moving. Silas, it was you. It was really you. She looked up, her once bright and captivating eyes now filled with nothing but regret and fear. Her voice was trembling uncontrollably. Why didn't you say something sooner? I let out a soft chuckle and slowly rose to my feet, walking over to her. I did, and I gave you more than one chance. I pointed to the pathetic, trampled scraps of paper on the floor. It was written right here, crystal clear. But you didn't believe me. You ripped it up yourselves. I enjoyed the sight of her bloodless face as I leisurely asked her, "So, how does it feel?" Ava's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her entire body began to shake violently, and tears suddenly streamed down her face. No, no. She shook her head in a daze, her perfectly applied makeup now a mess of black streaks. I was wrong. Silas, I was so wrong. She lunged forward, trying to grab my arm, but her legs gave out, and she stumbled, nearly collapsing. Please forgive me, okay? I didn't know. I swear I didn't know who you were. It was my fault. All my fault. I was blind. I was an idiot who judges a book by its cover. She begged, her words a jumbled mess, all her previous pride as a CEO completely gone. Just then, a commotion erupted outside the office. Out of the way! Everyone move! With a commanding roar, the crowd was forced apart. An elderly man with a full head of white hair, dressed in a conservative, perfectly tailored suit that spoke of old money, entered at a near jog, flanked by a team of imposing bodyguards. Seeing him, Mark Jennings, still slumped on the floor, looked as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes went wide with terror. The gawking employees gasped and quickly looked down, a wave of shock rippling through them. Mr. Harrison, Sr.? Oh my God! It's the old chairman. What is he doing here? I thought he was retired upstate. The newcomer was none other than the man who had built Harrison Holdings from the ground up, the long-retired patriarch of the family, Walter Harrison. When Ava saw her grandfather, she looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her face turned whiter than a sheet of paper. She forgot to even cry, her lips trembling silently. Grandfather, what are you doing here? Walter Harrison acted as if he hadn't heard her, his eyes not even glancing in her direction. His sharp, discerning gaze swept the office before finally landing on me. Then, he strode quickly in my direction, and in front of me, an administrative assistant in his granddaughter's company. He bowed deeply, a full 90 degrees. Young Master Vance. Walter's voice trembled. My name is Walter Harrison. I was not aware of your visit. Forgive my failure to welcome you. My negligence is unforgivable. As he finished speaking, jaws dropped all around the room. Mark Jennings's body jolted, and with a soft thud, he collapsed fully onto the floor, completely boneless. Ava staggered backward, nearly fainting on the spot. I remained seated, calmly accepting Walter Harrison's bow. Only when he remained in the deeply bowed position, not daring to move, did I speak. Walter, there's no need for such formalities. Only then did the old man slowly straighten up, his forehead already beaded with cold sweat. He glanced at the mess on the floor and at his distraught granddaughter. You disgraceful child. He raised his hand and, with all his strength, brought it across Ava's face. Smack! The crisp, loud slap echoed through the deathly silent office. The blow sent Ava stumbling, and a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. Grandfather! She cried, clutching her cheek in disbelief. Shut your mouth. You have no right to call me that. Do you have any idea what you've done? The reputation of the Harrison family, my entire life's work, all of it, destroyed by an ignorant fool like you. What did I tell you when you took over? Be humble, be prudent, treat everyone with sincerity. Is this how you listen to me? Walter Harrison roared, jabbing a finger at her nose. His anger mounted with every word. He pointed at me, then back at his granddaughter. For young Master Vance to condescend to visit our humble company is the greatest honor our family could ever receive. Not only were you not grateful, not only did you fail to serve him properly, but you dared. You dared to humiliate him. Is your head filled with rocks? You have infuriated me beyond words. Ava held her cheek, staring blankly at her apoplectic grandfather. Mark Jennings, still on the floor, finally found a flicker of his survival instinct. He scrambled over on his hands and knees like a stray dog and clung to Walter Harrison's leg, his face a mess of tears and snot. Mr. Harrison, it wasn't Ava's fault. It was me. It was all my fault. He started slapping his own face hard, the smacks echoing in the room. I was the one who was blind. It was me throwing my weight around because I was jealous of Mr. Vance's relationship with Ava, so I deliberately tried to drive a wedge between them. I was the one who tore up Mr. Vance's note. I was the one who humiliated him in public. It was all me. Ava had nothing to do with it. Punish me. Please, I'm begging you. Just forgive Ava. In his own twisted way, it was a display of loyalty. His only path to survival now was to take all the blame, hoping to shield Ava. If he could save Ava, maybe, just maybe, he still had a chance. Walter Harrison looked down in disgust at the man he once considered a promising CFO. Then he kicked him away, so hard that Mark rolled across the floor. You, what are you? Do you think you have any right to speak here? He pointed his polished mahogany cane at Mark and ordered the 2 bodyguards behind him. Drag this worthless trash out of my sight. Sir, the 2 men moved forward and hauled up the struggling Mark like a sack of garbage. No, Mr. Harrison, have mercy. Mark shrieked in desperation. Ava, help me. Say something, please help me. Break both his legs. From this day on, I never want to see his face in this city again. Put the word out to the entire financial industry. Anyone who hires him becomes an enemy of Walter Harrison. No, Mark's screams were cut short as the heavy office door slammed shut. The office was once again filled with a suffocating silence, punctuated only by Ava's suppressed sobs. After dealing with Mark, Walter's rage had not subsided. He turned back to his granddaughter. And you, he struck the floor with his cane, the heavy thuds echoing ominously. Kneel, Walter commanded. Ava's body shuddered. Under her grandfather's powerful gaze, she could no longer stand. Her knees buckled, and she fell heavily to the floor. Crawl over there and apologize to young Master Vance. Under Walter Harrison's unyielding stare, she didn't dare resist. Like a disgraced servant, she got on her hands and knees and slowly, painfully, crawled across the floor to me. She looked up, her face streaked with tears, and pleaded. Silas. No, young Master Vance. I was wrong. I truly know that I was wrong. I was stupid. I was blind. I'm not worthy of you. Please, I'm begging you. Just give me one more chance. She groveled, trying to use the marriage pact she had so recently scorned as her last hope to salvage everything. Our engagement. It's still valid, isn't it? Grandfather arranged it. With just one word from you, Harrison Holdings can be saved. We can get married right away, okay? I'll do whatever you say from now on. I'll be your servant. I'll do anything, please. I looked down at this woman kneeling before me, utterly debased, and all I could see was the memory of her face, twisted in disgust, as she pointed at me and spat out the words, "You make me sick." How ironic. I didn't answer her right away. Walter Harrison watched the scene, a look of resignation on his old face. He turned to me and once again bowed his head deeply. Young master, it was my failure in raising her that led to this disaster. She may be a fool, but she is the only heir to the Harrison family. I implore you, for the sake of my old age and for the friendship our families once shared, please give her one last chance. His posture was that of a beggar, pleading for mercy. I still said nothing. As Ava and Walter watched, their nerves stretched to the breaking point, I slowly bent down. Everyone in the office held their breath, their eyes following my every move. From the mess of trampled paper on the floor, I deliberately began to pick up the pieces of the IOU that Mark had ripped apart. My movements were slow and meticulous. With every fragment I retrieved, the color drained further from Ava's face. Finally, I had gathered all the pieces I could find into the palm of my hand. I stood up and walked over to where Ava was kneeling. She looked up at me, her eyes blurry with tears. I opened my hand, presenting the dirty, tattered scraps of paper to her. I watched with satisfaction as her body trembled uncontrollably with fear. Now, I asked quietly, "This IOU, do you still want it?" I. Ava's lips trembled so hard she couldn't form a sentence. She stammered for a few moments, but couldn't get a single coherent word out. Seeing this, I chuckled softly. I tilted my hand, letting the paper fragments drift down from my palm, scattering over her knees. I guess not. I dusted off my hands and then looked at the crestfallen Walter Harrison. Walter, you're a smart man. You should understand that Apex Trust has a rule. We offer lifelines, not handouts to fools. I gave her a chance. It was she who personally tore up Harrison Holdings' only path to survival, along with the last shred of my patience. I gave Ava one final, emotionless look. As for the engagement, I scoffed. Then, echoing her earlier words back at her, I asked, "Weren't you the one who said that I make you sick?" Ava's body went rigid. She stared at me in utter disbelief. I leaned down, close to her ear, and said in a voice only we could hear, "Funny thing. Right now, the feeling is mutual." After saying that, I didn't look at her again. I straightened up and walked toward the office door. "No, Silas, don't go." Ava finally snapped out of her despair. She scrambled up from the floor like a madwoman, trying to rush forward and grab my legs. I shot her a cold glare. She froze in place, not daring to take another step. All she could do was watch helplessly as my back grew smaller, step by step, as I approached the door. Just as my hand was about to touch the doorknob, I heard Walter Harrison's desperate cry from behind me. "Young Master Vance, please wait, I'm begging you. Give the Harrison family one more chance to survive." I paused but didn't turn around. I could feel two gazes fixed on my back, one pleading, one full of regret. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a text from Arthur. "Young Master, it is done. All financial institutions in New York have received their instructions. All assets of Harrison Holdings will be transferred to an Apex Trust subsidiary for liquidation within 3 days. Shall I arrange for your return trip?" I replied with a single word, "No." Then I dialed his number. This time, I put the call on speaker. "Young Master, your orders?" "Arthur, regarding the liquidation of Harrison Holdings." I heard Ava gasp behind me. "Ensure the rank-and-file employees receive their full severance and back pay. Use my personal account to cover it." There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Arthur's voice returned. "Yes, young master. That is very generous of you. As for the Harrison family, when they're thrown out of that building, make sure they don't take a single penny with them beyond the clothes on their backs. Liquidate all personal assets. Zero them out." My orders were cold and absolute, leaving them no glimmer of hope. "It will be done, young master." "I understand." "No." Ava let out a horrifying scream. If Walter hadn't been holding her back, she would have attacked me. I pretended not to hear and continued speaking to Arthur. "Also, that marriage contract. Take care of it. I don't want to hear another word linking my name to the Harrison family ever again." "Of course, young." "Wait, young master," Arthur said, a note of hesitation in his voice. "Regarding your grandfather, he was always very fond of this arrangement. I will speak to my grandfather myself. Tell him the Harrisons were unworthy of the Vances." I ended the call, slid the phone back into my pocket, and pulled open the office door. Warm sunlight streamed in from the outside world. I walked straight out, leaving the cold, desperate office behind me. Behind me, I could hear Ava's completely broken, howling sobs and Walter Harrison's heavy sigh, the sound of a man who had aged 20 years in an instant. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. I took a deep breath of fresh air, feeling the weight and frustration of the past few weeks vanish. Experiencing real life, this farce was officially over. 3 days later, a seismic shockwave rocked the New York City business world. Harrison Holdings, once a prominent player, had crumbled into dust overnight. "Young master, here is the deed to the old Harrison family estate, as you requested," Arthur said, bowing as he presented a file to me. I waved a hand dismissively. "Burn it. The place has bad energy." "Yes, sir." Arthur showed no surprise, respectfully retracting the file. He looked at me, seeming to have something more to say. "Speak your mind, Arthur." He hesitated for a moment before asking, "Young master, if I may be so bold, I don't understand. With your status, why did you endure such humiliation at that small company?" I tossed the last of the fish food into the koi pond, watching the colorful carp fight over the pellets, and smiled. "You wouldn't understand, Arthur. Sometimes, watching the world from a gilded tower is far less interesting than getting down in the mud to see how this self-important fish flop around in the shallows. That," I said, "is what makes it fun." As for the woman named Ava Harrison, she would probably go to her grave without ever understanding. What she lost was never just $100 million or a marriage contract. She lost an entire world that she could have been a part of. Some people and some opportunities, once lost, are lost for a lifetime.